not to do two brand specific videos back to back, but I recently discovered that Room and Board is not only B Corp certified, which is the highest certification in sustainability and ethics, but it's also employee owned, which like, what? They're not sponsoring this video or anything. I genuinely just want to share an incredible company with you in case you're in the market for some investment furniture. Plus, I want to give myself the creative challenge of sourcing all of my main furniture from one store and making it not look all terrible and matchy-matchy. Because if you know me, or really any other designer who isn't stuck in the early 2000s, you'll know that I cannot stand a matching living room or bedroom set in particular. If you're new here, my name is Medora. I use they, them pronouns, and I make videos about home design for girls, gays, and theys. So let's go see if I can design an entire house from Room and Board. And by entire house, I mean bedroom, dining room, and living room. Because this is a furniture store, and you don't really need furniture for like kitchens and bathrooms and stuff like that. So let me show you what I came up with. And yes, this is same shirt, different day. I don't know, just go with it. Okay, bedroom first. So as you can see, I did end up coming up with two different designs because I could not decide. So this first one, I decided to go a little bit moodier, a little bit more like hotel vibes. So I brought in a leather olive green bed, which is a lot of fun. This blue upholstered couch bench thingy. They call it a bench on the website. So if you're looking for this, definitely go to the bench section. And then these nightstands do not originally come with wooden handles. They originally come with these like metal handles, but if I were to buy them, I would definitely go with a wooden handle, especially like a big blocky square rectangular thing. That would look fantastic. These simple pendants, just like hanging. I know some people have opinions about pendants as bedside lamps. I'm not mad at it in the right context. It definitely gives a little bit hotel rather than home to me, but if that's what you're going for, that's what you're going for. There's this pretty wool blanket, and they've got this one pillow that I actually really love, and I put in a lot of the spaces. They've got it in two different colorways, and I thought the pop of like a warm copper bronzy brown contrasted really nice with the blue sofa. And then, of course, the rug. They don't have a lot for their rugs, and I think I might have used this rug in another room. So there's that. They don't have a lot of options for rugs. So I probably wouldn't recommend getting your rugs from there unless you're like really in love with one particular one. And then dresser, classic, standard, can't go wrong. I really love this detail at the bottom. It feels very brutalist to me, the way that it's like joined and constructed. And then I went for a darker color just to give like a darker, moodier vibe. And then they actually have a lot of really good mirrors. I didn't use too many of them in this project, but I would definitely go look at their mirrors if you are in the market for one, because they have a lot that are simple enough that they can go with just about any space, but the tiny little details are like just different enough that you don't see these everywhere at like Target and IKEA and stuff like that. So that is my first bedroom design. And then the reason I did a second one was because I really love this particular bed frame a lot, and it feels like a little bit more my style. So I wanted to do something that was like a little bit lighter and airier and more neutral, because as much as we all love color, I know that the bedroom in particular can be a place where you really just want to have like no distractions, no stimulation. You really just want it to be like a nice little cocoon of calmness. So again, I don't know if I mentioned actually, everything you see here so far is from Room and Board. All the mirrors, all the lamps, all the pillows, blankets and everything. All of this is from Room and Board. I will show some extra like little styling moments, most of which is from Etsy, and all of which will be linked below. But yeah, I thought that this dark nightstand would contrast nicely with the bed. I really love mixing woods because actually I don't know if the bed is part of this same collection, but the nightstands and the dresser are very clearly the same collection, but we did the dresser in a white and the nightstands in a walnut. That way it doesn't look matchy-matchy, but it does still feel cohesive. And then the bed just pairs beautifully with that. And then since I did choose to do a lot of metal in here with these plug-in sconces and the bench at the end of the bed, and then the mirror, there's a lot of metal going on. It definitely helps that the bench is painted rather than just like a brushed nickel or something. But the styling that I did in here is really what like brings this to life. We've got this blue throw from IKEA that I mentioned in my last video, and then this gorgeous light that I found on Etsy that I think is only like 300 something dollars. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what that is. And then for styling the dresser, a fun plant. This one is specifically a Dracaena. So if you are looking for like kind of like a quirky, whimsical, but not too otherworldly kind of plant, this is a great option for that. And then as we're all familiar with, a pop of red. And then the styling for the first option, I still went with a pop of red and the plant because there's no way you can go wrong with that. And then I also found this ceiling pendant on Etsy, which I just think is super neat. It definitely adds a little bit more to that moody vibe, and it brings in a really nice touch of vintage along with this lamp that I feel like is kind of necessary because the rest of this does scream pretty modern, especially with these lamps and like the shape of the bed and the shape of this couch and everything. It really screams modern, but adding these little pops of vintage really help it out. And then I do quickly just want to show you just all of the different options that I pulled up for furniture. So they have different colors of wood for the wood bed frame. There was this different upholstered bed that I found that they have every color under the sun. Like you can just go scroll through colors for days. This pop of blue is really fun, but it wasn't quite what it was a little too punchy for a bedroom, I think. At least for what I was envisioning. Yeah, there's so many colors, even a few more. And then for nightstands, again, some darker woods. That's the one I ended up using. They've also got this collection with a stone top. They have this in a dining table. They have this in a kitchen island, stuff like that, which is just a neat detail that I don't normally see in furniture, and it would definitely make it more durable and add to the longevity and everything. I do love a really wide nightstand. Is that the one I went with? Yes, but in a different color. And then they do have some good textile and bedding options. I just couldn't really make anything work in this particular space. I especially really love this striped wool blanket, which actually that is the one thing that I put in this room. But yeah, a cute coverlet, and then this is the close-up of that. And I really love what's happening here. I don't remember off the top of my head if this is wool or flannel or something, but I love the really thick border around the edge of this, and the fabric looks so soft and cozy. With the benches, they have a bunch of different colors. They have way more colors than this, but these were just the ones that I was thinking of for this particular space. And then, again, with this and any of their upholstered options, they have so many options for colors. So you are basically guaranteed to find a color you like. So I was really looking through these. I eventually ended up deciding not to do anything that was brown or red or orange because it just didn't fit the energy of the room. Although I did kind of like these two brown ones, but I was mostly looking at the blue ones. These are some other color options for the leather bed frame that we went with. They're all pretty standard and basic, and I'm pretty sure you can get color swatches for just about everything on their website, at least fabric and leather. I don't know about wood. This was another bed frame that I really liked, but it didn't quite work in the space. This feels more like a bachelor pad kind of bed frame. Like there's this one bedroom that I made over in my Reddit makeover video, and it reminds me of that. They do have an armoire, but it's just a little too mid-century for me. If I'm gonna have an armoire, I want it to be like sturdy and rustic and heavy. So this wasn't like quite doing it for me, but that's fine. And then other dresser options. These were all the same collection that we ended up going with for that second one. And then this is that same collection of the nightstands that we saw over here. So yeah, option 1 and option 2. Let me know which you like better, because I honestly can't decide. I like the use of color better in this first one, but I think I like the overall vibe of the second one better. I do really love these pillows as like a little accent pillow on the bed. That part I'm very happy with. Let's save that before we move on. Okay, moving on to the dining room. Let's do the dining room. I was struggling with the dining room the most. I don't know what exactly was going on with the dining room. I think it turned out fine. I couldn't find any chairs that I liked at Room and Board. The only one that I kind of liked was this one. And it's fine. It just reminds me of like a school chair, like an elementary school chair, which could be right in the right context, but this just did not feel like the right context. They have some really great dining table options and like big, chunky, sturdy, heavy dining table options, so I wasn't really into the very like light, dainty chairs. This was actually my favorite dining table option, like on its own, but I ended up going with this one with the black stone top for a reason that I will show you soon. They do have this art. I don't know if this art comes in this large of a size, but I thought that the pop of like a bright, saturated bluish greenish color was fun, specifically next to this pop of like a reddish orange, and then it's also got that same like bluish green color in there. I do really love this light fixture. If I had included a section of pendant fixtures in my boob light replacement video, I definitely would have included this because just the high shine of the chrome and the fact that it's three lights and not just one or two. And overall, it just gives me the vibe of like something that is unique enough, but it still feels like something that is high quality and timeless. And it just adds a little pop of something modern without being too in your face about it. They do also have this bowl that I really like. It's just a beautiful walnut bowl. There's nothing particularly special about it, but I just thought it was a nice little styling moment. And then these shelf thingies. Usually you would put like a credenza or a sideboard or something in a dining room, but this felt like a neat alternative to that. It's a little bit like more young and hip and modern because it's kind of that very like trendy mid-century open shelving, but it's also like got custom storage in it and it's like a whole entire wall unit. You all know what I'm talking about. And so not only are all of these drawers so you can get your sideboard storage in, but then there's the shelves above it so you don't even really have to worry about styling too much above it. You can just like fill up the shelves with whatever you're filling them up with, and it's relatively easy. And the other good thing about this and some of their other storage solutions that I love is that it's super custom. Like they literally have, let me go to their website. They literally have a designer thing on their website. Where do we go? Let's see, storage, bookcases and wall units. So let's just click on one of these. You can drag and drop whatever you want and it just like custom makes it. So I think I did a 36-inch width. We can do 12 inches deep or 16 inches deep. You get the dimensions right there. Continue. And then you can like drag and drop another one, continue, and another one, continue. And you can see there's the number of shelves right here. There's also the height, and you can like scroll down and find whatever fits your space. You could also do, they've got some like clothing storage things, stuff like that. And then you can customize the wood tone. You can do a darker wood. Ooh, I kind of like the black, the charcoal stain. That looks really nice. Maybe I should have done that. But what I did was the white. And then frame and hardware, you can do white, you can do stainless steel, you can do black. And then here's where you get options. You can do a door unit, you can do a filing drawer, you can do a small drawer and a large drawer. Okay. Why do I have to start? Okay, we're starting over because I thought I was a robot. Yeah, you can do drawers, you can do different equal size drawers, you can do a drop down surface. So if you want to do like a fold down desk, you can do adjustable shelves, you can do a wine rack, you can do a shelf riser. Like, it's so customizable. And I assume, let me refresh this. I assume you can just, oh, you can't. I wonder if you contact them, you could buy just the inserts on their own if you already have this. Probably. Anyways, back to the dining room. Also, I put a tree in here because why not? This pot is from Room&Board, so that's fun. It's just like a really pretty, classic, simple pot. It feels a little bit more like an outside pot rather than an inside pot, but or maybe it's just that something feels off about this tree. Maybe it's a little bit too like bright green and saturated. I'm not really sure what it is. Something's a little off to me. But all of the extra styling that I did really pulls this space together. So we've got chairs. And going back to the reason I chose this dining table over this one is because these chairs are basically the exact same color as the wood of this dining table. So you kind of really need a dark surface to differentiate between the table and the chairs. Because if I put this dining table in there, it just all gets lost. Like, it's pretty, but it just gets lost. So that's why I like the dark table better. And then styling. Nothing too crazy. I just filled it up with books, put a little like bar spot in here, a fun bowl, and a sculpture. Because I don't know, I should really switch this out for something from Etsy, but I don't have time to go do that now because I'm filming currently. So we're just gonna call that good and move on to the living room. This is definitely my favorite in terms of how it turned out with just room and board pieces. Everything that you see here is room and board, and that just like blows my mind. I love the shape of this couch. And again, this couch comes in so many different colors. These were just the ones that I kind of picked out that I was drawn to, but it comes in so many different colors. And then there's also this different couch with the wood base, which is a lot of fun. I am obsessed with this chair. I think this is super classic. It's definitely very reminiscent of the Eames chair, but again, you can get it in so many different colors. Do I have more colors up here? Oh yeah. So yeah, these were all the other different colors of chairs that I was considering. A lot of them are very similar because I was going for a very specific vibe. And they definitely have brighter colors than this too. But yeah, those were kind of what I was going for. This coffee table is from that same collection as that dining table that I really loved but didn't actually use. And then this basket is also from Room and Board. It's just like a beautiful centerpiece. And again, it's just statementy enough with the pops of red and like all of the beautiful intricate texture, but without like really drawing too much attention into it and being like, hey, look at me. Because I feel like with the rise of the internet, we're drawn to much brighter, more flashy statement pieces than we normally would be. And this feels like a perfect statement piece for this particular living room, at least. We've got a TV stand thing, like wall mounted, very chic, little table lamp next to it because lighting is everything. And then I love the idea of just putting these walnut bookcases along an entire wall. Fill them up with books, put a bunch of fun knickknacks from your travels on top, put like a record player on top, put some candles on top, stuff like that. And then the pieces that kind of fade into the background but I really love are these wall sconces. You can do them this way or you can turn them upside down. Either way, I personally like an uplight, I think, a little bit better than a downlight, but both are beautiful. And then this pendant light looks like it gives off the best quality of light. Anything that is off-white and translucent will give off the most beautiful light. Not transparent, but translucent. And I also really love how there's the straight cord to like structurally hold up the pendant, but then it also allows for this other cord to kind of like wind around here. I think that's such a pretty little detail that most people won't pay attention to, but it just adds to the overall space because everything in here, for the most part, is very boxy and linear and 90-degree angles. So especially with all of these lights, having some curves in there really helps a lot. And then this side table, again, helps with the curves. It brings in a nice little pop of chrome. It also brings in the glass. So it brings in two different textures at once. And then last but not least are these chairs, which are just a nice, simple, timeless, but still a little bit mid-century. And I think they pair really well with all the other different colors of wood. Let's see, what else? I didn't have too much else. This is what I ended up putting in the dining room. I was originally considering it for the living room, but did not end up going that route. And then this is interesting because you've got mixed wood tones in the same piece, which I don't know if I've ever seen before. So I do really like that. Although I think it was a little bit too tall for what I was going for this kind of back wall situation here. There's some other side tables. These ones would be good as nightstands. Again, I don't love the handles on them, but that is literally the easiest possible thing to switch out. This would be really good and functional in a small space. You can just like pull it up to your bed or your couch and have a nice little work table. I wanted to figure out a way to incorporate this pedestal situation because I do really love it, although it just felt a little bit too leggy for this space. Let's see, what else? Coffee tables, a couple different colors of wood for this coffee table. And then there was a different round coffee table, but I wasn't really feeling it. It felt a little too modern and trendy, whereas this one feels just a little bit more classic and timeless to me. Not that everything has to be classic and timeless, but I like the design of this one better. Some other media unit ideas, and then those were the chairs. And so with all of the styling, I don't know what it is about this picture of the Uncrustables. It's an original oil painting. It is not this big. It's an 8x10. But I imagine if you contacted the artist, you could probably be like, hey, can you sell me a license to get this printed out at like a 4x5 foot size? They would probably do that because money, you know, in this economy. And then another painting I found was here. They have really bad photos of it on Etsy, but it's a beautiful painting. And then we found these pillows, which I love. I think I might have done this in my How to Style a Gray Couch video, but if not, I will definitely link those below. The way that the Uncrustables painting pairs so perfectly with all of the colors that are already in the space, it just makes me so happy. It's so nostalgic. It's so funny. I love that it's like a classic still life of this like very mass manufactured childhood snack that we all know and love. And I'm just so happy with how the living room turned out. I'm not going to style the shelves back here because you all know what books on a shelf looks like. But yeah, use your imagination for that. We're going to save that. And that's all I've got. I'm filming this outro before I've actually done the mood boards, so let me know how it turned out. What do you like? What do you not like? What did I do well? What would you have done differently? And are there any room and board pieces that you're maybe considering investing in? Again, I just really want to highlight, I know some of their pieces are a little boring and they aren't like the most trendy, but when you're looking for an investment piece, that's a good thing. And again, I really just want to emphasize the fact that they are B Corp certified and employee owned, which is just unheard of with furniture and home decor companies. So if you have the means to, please go support this company because we need more companies doing things like this. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to tell the algorithm to show you more of my videos. If you want to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/medorakia. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, go to medorakia.com. Bye. I really need to start doing these mood boards before I film the intro and outro so that I actually have specific things to talk about, but you know, whatever. That's what voiceovers are for, right?